It all started as a joke. Ryan sat on the wobbly coffee table in our dorm room, his eyes burning with excitement. "People always wanted to know how far we can go," he said, twirling a pen between his fingers. "The Russian sleep experiment. They never let us know the truth." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Are you saying we should recreate the experiment?" Ryan smirked. "I'm saying we could improve it." Lucy was skeptical, but intrigued. Me? I didn't want to be a coward, so we made a pact. 20 days. No sleep. Just the four of us. Students of chemistry, medicine, and psychology. If anyone could pull this off, it was us. Days 1 to 4. The pitfalls of endless night. The first 4 days were wild. Drugs were the solution. Speed, cocaine, LSD, ecstasy, Red Bull, coffee, anything we could get our hands on. At first it was amazing. We laughed, danced, talked for hours. Time lost meaning. Lucy monitored our heart rates. We were on the edge, but we held on. But the nights grew heavier. The fun faded into something darker. Ryan started talking to his reflection in the window. Ethan swore someone was standing in the corner of the room. One night, I saw Lucy floating above her bed, but when I blinked, she was sitting on the floor again. "It's not working anymore," Ethan said on the 4th day, trembling. "We're losing control." That's when Ryan convinced us. Day 5. The Gashi placed 4 inhalers on the table. "The gas," he said, "from an improved formula. No side effects." Lucy hesitated. "Ryan, we can't." Ryan stepped closer, his eyes empty. "This is science." We exchanged uneasy glances. Then we breathed it in. Everything changed. The fog in our minds cleared. Suddenly we were sharp, fast, focused. Our heartbeats calmed. We felt invincible. But the gas was a trap. Days 7 to 10. The illusion of control. The first few days after inhaling the gas were perfect. We operated like machines. We didn't need food. Hours passed in complete clarity. But then, it started cracking. Ethan began whispering to the walls. Lucy looked at her hands one night and said, "I have 6 fingers." And she did. But when I blinked, there were 5 again. Ryan started scribbling formulas on the wall, but in a language he didn't know. My reflection in the mirror started staring at me before I even moved, but we didn't stop inhaling. Without the gas, we would collapse instantly. Day 13. First blood. Ethan sat on the floor. His eyes were black, empty voids. Lucy knelt beside him, gently placing a hand on his shoulder. "Ethan, what's wrong?" He grabbed her. Without warning, he bit a chunk out of her cheek. Lucy screamed, blood pouring down her neck. Ethan just chewed the flesh, eyes unfocused like a wild animal. We hit him with a chair. He dropped. Ryan laughed. He said, "The gas keeps us awake. But what if it doesn't let us die?" None of us were human anymore. Day 20. The slaughter. The air was thick with the stench of sweat, rot, and something worse, blood. The dorm was alive with fresh voices. Laughter echoed down the halls as students moved in, oblivious to the monsters lurking among them. Ryan was the first to kill. He moved so fast I barely saw it. A girl in a floral dress was walking past him, humming to herself, when he snapped her neck like a twig. She didn't even scream, just a sickening crack, her body dropping limply to the floor. Someone else gasped down the hall. A mistake. Lucy lunged. She didn't just kill, she fed. Her fingers dug into a boy's stomach, and before he could even process the pain, she ripped him open like wet paper. His intestines spilled onto the tile, steaming in the cold air. He tried to scream, but Lucy's teeth were already sinking into his throat, chewing, gnashing, swallowing. I turned, and that's when I saw Ethan. He was not Ethan anymore. His eyes were black voids, swirling with something inhuman. His mouth stretched too wide, his teeth sharper than before. He was laughing. A girl stumbled into him, panicked, hands covered in someone else's blood. "Help me!" she cried. Ethan tilted his head, then dug his fingers straight through her. Ribcage crunch. Her breath hitched, a wet, gasping sound, as Ethan yanked her still-beating heart out and crushed it in his grip. I felt something inside me shift. A deep, primal hunger. Then I smelled it. The blood. It was everywhere. Thick, metallic, intoxicating. I wanted it. I wanted to tear them apart. I wanted to feed. I moved without thinking. A boy tried to run past me. I reached out and grabbed him, my nails digging into his skin. His eyes were wide with terror. Please! I didn't care. My jaw unhinged. I bit into his shoulder and ripped a chunk of flesh away. He shrieked, collapsing, clutching the gaping wound. Felt warm blood running down my chin. It felt good. Another student tried to fight back, swinging a chair at me. I barely felt it. I grabbed his throat, lifted him off the ground, and squeezed until his face turned purple. Somewhere deep inside, I knew this was wrong, but I couldn't stop. I didn't want to. I saw Ryan stalking someone else. Lucy was tearing flesh from a girl's leg like a wild animal. Ethan was painting the walls with blood. And me? I was one of them. Until I saw myself, a large shattered mirror at the end of the hall, and in the reflection, I saw a monster. Skin stretched too tight over a twisted, inhuman face, eyes black as the void, mouth smeared with raw meat. It was me. Something inside me snapped, staggered back, hands shaking. What the hell had we become? I turned and ran. I bolted down the hallway, slipping on pools of blood. Behind me, I heard Ryan's voice. "Where do you think you're going?" I didn't turn back. I just ran. Students screamed, bodies littering the floor. Some tried to hide, others fought back. None of them stood a chance. I reached the dorm exit, locked. No, no, no. I turned and grabbed a fire extinguisher, smashing the glass panel next to the door. My hands were bleeding, but I didn't feel pain anymore. I climbed through, the broken glass slicing my arms, my legs, my face. Didn't matter. Outside, cold air. But something was wrong. The sky was black, not just night. Black, like a void had swallowed the world. There was no moon, no stars, just darkness. A voice whispered behind me, "You can't escape." I turned, Ryan, Lucy, Ethan, standing in the doorway, grinning. "You're one of us," Ethan whispered, his voice like shattered glass. I turned and ran into the void. I woke up in a white room. Hospital? A nurse stood beside me, checking my vitals. "You finally woke up," she said, smiling. My head pounded. My body felt weak. "Where am I?" "The university hospital," she replied. "You were in a coma for 2 months." 2 months? No, that's impossible. I was just in the dorm. Her face darkened. "There was an incident," she said slowly. "Your dorm was evacuated." Evacuated? I tried to sit up, but my body screamed in pain. "You're the only survivor," she added softly. "The only survivor." I looked down at my hands. The scars from the glass were still there. My breath caught. Was it real? A cold shiver ran down my spine. The nurse smiled, placing a hand on my shoulder. "Don't worry," she said, voice calm. Too calm. "You're safe now." Her grip tightened. Too tight. I looked up at her face, her black eyes, her too wide smile. I turned my head to the side, my heart racing, and saw it. A gray, clawed hand creeping out from under the hospital bed, curling around the mattress. My hand. But I wasn't moving it. The nurse leaned closer, whispering, "You never escaped." The lights flickered, then darkness.